Hello, my name is Eleni, and I'm here with my colleague Shadi.
Hello.
And we help leaders and teams reclaim humanity in the workplace. What does that mean? That means putting people at the center of decisions. And when we do that, problems that are very common and persistent fall away. Now, because it's a long journey to humanize the workplace, we start with one step, and that step is through thinking styles. Now, as H2O represents water, Mind Time is a tool that represents the natural ways we think. And we tend to think in three ways that refer to time. So the first is, let's say, future. Future is a way of thinking about what's possible. What could be a new way of solving a problem? And past is a way of thinking about what worked in the past and what could we be certain about. And the present is another way of thinking that looks at what are the resources we have now and what can we put into action that we can actually depend on. Now, we can use all or one of these thinking styles at any time, and when we're not aware of them, miscommunication and conflict creeps up. So that's why we teach this and we help people work in a more humane way. Now, Shadi is going to teach us how that really works using a visual tool.
Thank you, Eleni, and welcome to all. I'm just going to put this tool as a spotlight here so you can see now my hand hovering over it. So what this represents, this is mind time in action. So this is the future thinking style. This is the future side. This is the past side, and that's the present thinking. And as Eleni mentioned, the future thinking really focuses on the possibility, the past thinking on the certainty, and the present more on the probability itself. So what happens a lot in cases, we're going to take the case of human resources. Human resources are mainly responsible to really put order into things. So meaning they're putting organized, they're going to put execution plan, they have standard operating procedures they need to follow through, whether they're coming from legal or not, but they have to follow certain rules and regulations. And whenever rules and regulations, meaning you're creating control, and this falls under the probability. So you want to increase the probability of achieving the same results. And this is what the lens that is used is the present thinking lens. Other departments within organization, especially R&D or business development and so forth, the individuals there, they want to really think out of the box. They want to do things in a totally different way. So they tend to be more on the future thinking lens itself and that side. So I'm going to show you, demonstrate for you what happens between those particular departments or individual heads that they had these two departments. So if let's say Jennifer is the head of an R&D or business development unit, and let's say we have Brenda or John from the HR, immediately we can see here the tension that's happening between both thinking styles. And there is nothing wrong with that. This is natural way of how things are happening. But if we don't know about them, this conflict itself gets raised into the organization. Any small issues that happens become so much exacerbated and a lot of problems occur, and it gets raised to the VPs, gets raised to the CEOs, and then blames and criticism and judgment starts flying all over. So once individuals start understanding their different thinking styles and the lenses they tend to use more often than not, then this is how they start communicating in a different way. So if HR understands how Jennifer thinks, what's the lens that Jennifer puts on most of the time, so then for when Brenda or John wants to communicate with Jennifer, they will start tailoring the message according to the lens that Jennifer puts on most of the time. And this is how we start bridging the gap between them and start creating better communication. And once we start doing that, conflict starts going down. In addition to that, because these individuals, they belong to do different thinking styles, what happens is that we start putting some labels on each other. So the present will be looking at the past, say, look, these people are drugged down, I mean, really tied down with all those processes. Can they just think out of the box? Can they just do things in a different way? While the individuals in here, they'll be looking at the individuals on here, maybe calling them, they're living in the clouds. They have all those ideas, and those ideas cannot be implemented within the current constraints or regulations that we have. And once we have those labels, this is how things start escalating day in, day out, until they really become more conflict and misunderstanding all across. And that's how issues work. So this is our first step in how we humanize the workplace, is by understanding where we fit on the mind time map. And once we understand, and we understand what are these stressors that stresses us as individuals, and what are the things that makes us work in a flow in a way that makes us more comfortable. And once we understand it, we start communicating in a totally different way that really make things better. We hope this helps, and we look forward to working with you on reclaiming humanity in the workplace.